There are ancient Native American ruins in Western New York that very few people know about, and they may relate to the Book of Mormon. I'd like to give you some information about them. They're called the Bluff Point Stoneworks, and they're located in Western New York, south of the Hill Cumorah, which is well known to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm going to share some information, uh, sharing what we know about these stoneworks and this potential ancient city center. And to do that, I'm going to share my screen. So you can pull this up on Wikipedia if you like. It gives a little basic information about the Bluff Point Stoneworks. As it says here, they're located near the town of Jerusalem, New York, at the crux of one of the Finger Lakes there in Western New York, as indicated, that's south of the Hill Cumorah. Unfortunately, even though there were some accounts describing what was there that were written down in the 1800s, almost nothing remains there. So the best description for what's there at the Bluff Point Stoneworks was written by a Mr. S. Hart Wright, and this was written around 1879 or 1880, and he describes what he saw. It's on a bluff in the lake. Let me go ahead and pull that up on Google Earth for you. So here is Google Earth. As you can see, it's the Great Lakes area. You have New York, the Niagara area, and here are the Finger Lakes, and the Hill Cumorah is up here. I'll go ahead and put that up, Hill Cumorah. Okay. Okay, so this is where the Hill Cumorah is. You can see the sorry, you can see the where the pageant grounds are and the visitor center, and then up the hill with a monument there for Hill Cumorah. Now, so then that's where the Hill Cumorah is, and it's north of these Finger Lakes. Now, the point we're going to talk about is located right here. This is where the Bluff Point Stoneworks are located. So it's south of Hill Cumorah, and we'll go into there. So what you'll see is it's this lake that makes this interesting Y shape. And in the dividing the Y in this peninsula that comes down, this point there is called Bluff Point. And it's just a bluff overlooking the lake. And that's where the stoneworks were found. Here's sort of this, I believe, has a picture. Yeah, so this is from then looking south from the bluff. So it was on this land here at this Y-shaped lake south of Hill Cumorah. So that's where it's located. Okay, so what the individual, Mr. Wright, in the 1800s, he gives an account. He talked with some of the farmers who had lived in the area a long time. At the time he went, the site had already been raided for and emptied some of large stones, that even cut stones that were removed and used for buildings and other purposes. They kind of saw the benefit of taking some of the stones away from the site. But anyway, up on that bluff, there was a 7-acre area, and the site included what he described as graded ways or paths. He described foundations, stone foundations for buildings. He described stone walls dividing what appeared to be fields. And so this sort of city or city center, and it was unknown who made them. It's mostly, people think that it was made by the mound builders or Hopewell, but no dating has been done. So it could be the mound builders or Hopewell who would date to the Nephite type timeframes, or it could be Jaredites from an earlier time frame. We don't know, but it was known to be ancient. They spoke with the Native Americans there, and they didn't know who had built it, and it had always been there from what the Native Americans had indicated. So anyway, he described the graded ways that were 3 to 8 feet wide. They were divided in nice rectilineal divisions, so kind of, the perpendicular paths and ways, sort of like you would do for a planned city center. And then down here further has a little bit more of the description. Again, the stones from it, unfortunately, were, they're nice, large, rectilineal cut stones and things like that that were taken and used by for construction purposes and stuff by local farmers. And now there's essentially nothing there. But in addition to the graded ways and the large flat stone edgeways, there was indications of rooms and for buildings or large homes, and then other types of material there. Now, this particular site will go to this, it's written by a man named David Robinson, who collected some of the information about the Bluff Point Stoneworks, and we'll talk about the drawing that we have of the stoneworks. So, and that's the site there in the crookedlakereview.com. So as he says, there's no trace now, and there have been no good archaeological excavations of the site, unfortunately. And so it's still a little bit of a mystery, the full purpose and timeframes for this city type center with, grid patterned ruins, or that look like a village built at that spot. And anyway, I encourage you to take a look at the site. He has some more quotes from Dr. Wright from the 1800s. As I said, he had talked to old farmers about the site. It was, even though it had been raided some in the 1800s, and then it was mostly kept in, what was left was mostly kept in place from the 1800s until about the 1950s, and then it was then destroyed again as people built vineyards and did farm work and took the remainder of the stuff, so that there's nothing left now. Now, when Dr. Wright, in the 1880s, did a survey of the site, he did provide some better description. He says 13 acres, a 13 acres site, or one says the ruin was 14 to 20 acres in size. It said it had 7 principal walls that ran along it. He said that there were walls that were used that appeared to be like foundations for rooms that might have been for buildings or dwellings or storage rooms. There are also stones that seem to be used like walls to enclose fields, which is done sometimes in European. See these farming fields that were divided by these little stone walls. And so this is the drawing that was made of the site. We'll pull that up. So what you had was, this was the modern highway that unfortunately goes down right through the site. If the scale was 112 feet to 1 inch, there were vertical slabs and of stone and boulders, and so these appear to have been like the stone walls that divide fields. So these appear to have been fields, perhaps used for farming or something, divided by these ancient stone walls. And then, but also used for like paths. There were some circles, we don't know what purpose those had. And then you had some that were these stone foundations that looked like they could have been for buildings or rooms. And as you can see, it's all laid out, planned out, like a city center for this ancient site. Again, we don't know exactly when it was built. Most think that it does relate to the Hopewell, with the mound builder time frame, which would fit the Nephites and Book of Mormon time period, but we don't have any firm dating. It has a little bit of a person later that went back and tried to find some things, and as he did, there have, outside of the written description from the 1880s, there are multiple individuals who have provided additional accounts confirming and verifying the existence of these lined up, planned walls that seem to indicate a planned city center or ceremonial center or whatever it was. Again, the location of it was right on that bluff point for the lake, so it could have been a place that would be a good place for a market or a temple or whatever you would want with a nice view. It would be a protected spot as well because of the lake nearly surrounding it and it being on the peninsula. But I wish we had more information on it, but that's all we have. I'll go ahead and stop the screen share there. In summary, there's a number of ancient sites that could relate to the Book of Mormon that very few people know about, and there's very little information about. And the Bluff Point Stoneworks is an intriguing one because it could fit the Book of Mormon, and its proximity to the Hill Cumorah is interesting too, because of the Hill Cumorah's relation to the Book of Mormon. If any of you have additional information about the Bluff Point Stoneworks, I'd be very interested in it, and I look forward to sharing more with you. Again, if you like the content, I encourage you to like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you can receive more. All right, thanks.